Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another lecture dito sa Social Psychology. Today ang pag-uusapan natin is on the Social Psychology of Persuasion. This is chapter 7 of Myers' textbook on Social Psychology. So hindi ko madidiscuss lahat. If you want the little details on this chapter, basahin nyo from page to page yung chapter 7 sa libro ni David Myers. So let me define persuasion according to the APA. Sa online dictionary nila ang sabi, an active attempt by one person to what? Altogether with, the word is change another person's attitudes, beliefs, or emotions associated with some issue, person, concept, or object. Pero syempre, mas gusto natin yung definition ni Myers. This is coming straight from his textbook. Persuasion is a process by which a message induces change in beliefs, attitudes, or behaviors. Kung mapapansin ninyo, sa dalawang definition na yan, ang common word is the word change or sa Tagalog, pagbabago. So ang persuasion, isa itong proseso na ginagawa natin para magbago yung isip ng isang tao. So meron tayong gustong ipagawa sa isang tao, hindi siya naniniwala sa gusto nating ipagawa sa kanya, anong gagawin natin? We are going to use persuasion para yung gusto nating gawin niya, maya-maya gusto na rin niyang gawin. In that case, we are able to say that person is persuaded by us. Na-persuade natin siya. So to put those words in a diagram, it looks something like this. Meron tayong gustong thinking, feeling, or action na gusto nating i-adapt yon ng taong kausap natin. Pero yung thinking, feeling, and actions niya iba doon sa gusto nating meron siya. Kaya nga dito, purple tayo, siya green. Anong nangyayari sa persuasion? Meron tayong mga ginagawa in between para maya-maya yung green niya magiging purple na rin siya. Gagayahin na rin niya yung thinking, feeling, and actions na gusto nating i-adapt niya. Again, kapag nangyari na yan, from green, naging purple na siya, that's when we say, we are able to persuade that person. Maliwanag. Another thing I want to establish here on persuasion is, we can consider persuasion as a psychological skill. Isa itong kakayanan. Dahil capability ito, skill ito, may mga tao magaling mag-persuade, may mga tao naman na hindi magaling mag-persuade. And I hope this lecture matuturuan kayo on how to improve on your ability to persuade someone. Because as you will see, as I go along the lecture, persuasion is a very important psychological skill. Kaya sa tingin ko, dapat lahat ng tao marunong ng mga tamang paraan kung paano mag-persuade ng ibang tao. So given this definition of persuasion, let's go back again to the Myers definition. Paano natin ito nakikita in our everyday life? Saan nangyayari ang persuasion? For example, nangyayari ang persuasion sa courtship. Kapag nanliligaw ka, let's say, ikaw yung lalaki, may nililigawan kang babae. In that way, or in that situation, we can say, pinurpersuade mo siya to be in a relationship with you. Kasi bago mo siya ligawan, single siya. Ngayong nililigawan mo siya, in a way, pinurpersuade mo siya that you are worthy, that you are good enough, okay? Para piliin niya na maging in a relationship siya with you. So, ano mga gagawin mo dyan para i-persuade mo siya na maging boyfriend ka niya? Siyempre, kakain kayo sa labas, meron kang mga ibibigay na gifts, papakitaan mo ng mga magagandang ugali, papakita mong gentleman ka, so on and so forth. So, that process that you use para kumbinsihin yung nililigawan mo na gawin kang jowa is a process of persuasion. Or, for instance, yung nililigawan mo, marami pang ibang nanliligaw. 5 kayo. Pag nililigawan mo siya, in a way we can say, you are persuading that person, that girl, na ikaw ang piliin over the other 4 suitors. Kukumbinsihin mo siya na ikaw ang pinaka best choice na gagawin niyan dapat boyfriend. Hindi si option 1, hindi si option 2, pero ikaw. Okay? So, in those processes inside courtship, merong persuasion na nangyayari. Persuasion also happens in the courtrooms. Sa tingin ko, ito yung pinaka-obvious. setting where persuasion happens. Let's say you are an attorney. Meron kang hinahawakang kaso. Kapag pinapatunayan mo sa korte na yung isang tao is not guilty, let's say yun yung kliyente mo, may nagdemanda sa kanya ng estafa, dahil kliyente mo yung dinemanda, papatunayan mo ngayon, i-persuade mo ngayon yung judge na hindi siya guilty. Hindi totoo na estapadora siya. Hindi totoo na dapat siyang makulong. So you have to persuade the judge. On the other end, kung ikaw naman yung nagdemanda doon sa tao na binigyan ng estafa, iba naman. Papatunayan mo, i-persuade mo yung judge na karapat dapat siyang ikulong kasi estapadora siya. Are you getting my point? Either way, whether you prove someone to be guilty or not guilty, it's a process of persuasion, persuading the judge in this context. Nangyayari din ang persuasion sa media. Pagsamahin na natin yung advertising and sales. Alam natin yan. Every day when we watch television, or uso pa ba yung TV ngayon, no? Or when we go to the internet, paulit-ulit tayong nakakita ng mga ads. Right? And what do those ads do to us? Merong persuasion na nangyayari dyan. Merong persuasion behind each ads. In a way, tuwing makakita tayo ng mga ads, ang sinasabi sa atin is, itigil nyo na ang dati nyong binibili. Diba? Yan yung goal ng mga ads. Meron tayong dating binibili, ang gusto ng mga ads na to, ihinto na natin yung mga dati nating binibili, lumipat tayo doon sa produkto na pinopromote ng ads. Lumipat na tayo ng sabon. Lumipat na tayo ng kotseng bibilin. Lumipat na tayo ng pabangong gagamitin. Are you getting my point? So, behind each ads, behind each salesperson that you talk to, merong persuasion process na nangyayari. Got that? So I hope you are realizing at this point, no, that persuasion is part of our everyday life. In fact, I would go as far as saying na walang araw sa buhay natin. Walang araw sa buhay natin that we did not experience being persuaded or we did not see persuasion at work. Araw-araw na ginawa ng Diyos. For sure, nakakita tayo ng persuasion. It's either tayo ang pinerpersuade or we see other people persuading other people. That's why, again, let me repeat, it's a very important skill to learn because it is so infused in our everyday life. Kaya sana matutunan natin how to persuade effectively. Kasi kung meron tayong word na effectively, meron ding ineffectively. May mga tao nagper-persuade pero yung paraan nila sa pagper-persuade mali, nakakainis, nakakairita. Fortunately, nandito ang social psychology. There is a big field in social psychological research that mainly focused on the process of persuasion that answers this question. Na-research na nila yan. And that's what I'm going to present today. Ano ba yung mga effective ways on how to persuade another person according to social psychological research? Pag-aaralin natin ngayon yung iba't ibang mga persuasion factors. And these factors are psychological factors na kapag pinagana mo, kapag nagamit mo ng maayos, most likely, you will be a very effective persuader. So for those of you who wants to be a very effective persuader, magaling kang mag-persuade, magaling kang magpabago ng isip, ng emotions, ng actions ng isang tao, this is the right lecture to listen to. Okay? So let's start. According to social psychological research, if you want to understand persuasion, you have to see persuasion in these 4 components. Meron tayong communicator, the persuader. Meron tayong message, yung sinasabi ng persuader. Meron tayong channel, paano sinasabi ng persuader yung message. At meron tayong audience, yung nakikinig doon sa persuader. If we want to be effective persuaders, we have to remember certain ingredients. Sa Tagalog, merong mga sangkap within each one of these na dapat present when we try to persuade another person. The more these ingredients are present in the way we persuade another person, mas nagiging effective tayo sa pag-persuade. So isa-isahin natin yan. Let's start with the communicator. The persuader. Siya yung nag-i-start, siya yung nag-a-attempt na magpabago ng isip ng isang tao. What are the different persuasion factors according to social psychological research that a communicator should have para maging effective siya sa persuasion, no? Ayan, according to studies, merong 3 qualities na dapat ang isang tao na nagper-persuade meron. Number 1 is credibility, number 2 is trustworthiness, number 3 is attractiveness. Credible, ibig sabihin merong kang K, or sa Tagalog merong kang karapatan, merong kang expertise in persuading someone to do something. Okay? For example, in most commercials, kung mapapansin ninyo, yung mga sabon, yung mga dishwashing liquid, sino ang nagpo-promote? Anong character ang ginagamit? People in lab coats, mga doktor, mga scientist. Kasi sila ang expert sa chemicals. It's like they're claiming na itong sabon na to, itong dishwashing liquid na to, ito yung mga produkto na merong best combination of chemicals para luminis ang katawan ninyo or luminis yung mga hinuhugasan yung plato. They know. Why? Because they are scientists. They are chemists. Kaya hindi mawawala yung ganyang presentation of the product. The lab coat that they wear in promoting these products establish expertise. Meron silang karapatan na i-promote yung sabon na yan, na i-promote yung dishwashing na yan because they know. They've studied it. Ang ganda ng chemical components ng sabon na yan, ang ganda ng chemical components ng dishwashing na yan, this is the best thing that you should buy. Nagigets nyo? Ang tawag doon is credibility. When an expert tries to persuade other people to buy the product that they are promoting. Another example would be when you are persuading people to buy rubber shoes. Sino sa tingin nyo ang pinaka-effective na persuader kung pinurpersuade mo yung tao na bumili ng certain brand of rubber shoes? E di kung sino expert sa rubber shoes, sino ba? Mga athletes. Why are athletes experts in rubber shoes? Because it's part of what they do. Kung basketball player ka, isa yan sa mga tools na lagi mong ginagamit. Dapat maganda ang rubber shoes mo, dapat the best yung rubber shoes mo. So, si LeBron James, magpo-promote siya ng Nike rubber shoes. Bagay na bagay. Right? Kasi nga, yung rubber shoes, sinong may expertise dyan? An athlete like LeBron James. He would know kung maganda yung rubber shoes niya. Bakit? Araw-araw niya ginagamit yan eh. O, ganun din sa Philippine basketball. Ewan ko lang kung kilala niyo itong mga players na to, no? But these 2 PBA players are promoting Peak. Bakit athletes ang pinili ng Peak para i-promote yung brand nila? Kasi yung Peak, it is an athletic company. Ang binibenta nila mga sporting goods. Sino ba ang expert sa mga sporting goods? The athletes. Because sporting goods is part of their everyday life. Nagigets ninyo? That's how you use credibility to persuade people. Hahanap ka ng expert na bagay doon sa behavior na gusto mong i-promote, na gusto mong gawin ng mga taong pinurpersuade mo. O eto, negative example naman to, no? If LeBron James is a good persuader for people to buy rubber shoes, sino ang hindi mo dapat gamitin to promote buying LeBron rubber shoes? Huwag mong gagamitin si Boy Abunda. Kasi si Boy Abunda, hindi naman siya expert. Wala siyang credibility when it comes to athletic rubber shoes. In the first place, he is not an athlete. He is a good interviewer for sure. King of talk yan eh. Pero wala siyang kinalaman sa athletic rubber shoes. So when you ask Boy Abunda to promote rubber shoes, most likely, hindi magiging effective ang persuasion. Kasi hindi siya naka-align. Yung nature niya, yung expertise niya, hindi naka-align doon sa product. Wala siyang credibility to persuade people to buy a certain rubber shoes. Got that? Let's move on to number 2, trustworthiness. Anong ibig sabihin ng trustworthiness? Ibig sabihin yung taong nagper-persuade, malinis yung reputation niya. Wala siyang scandals, wala siyang mga controversies na kinakasangkutan. And in the Philippine example, I could think of 2 characters which I think fits the definition of trustworthiness. One example would be Boy Abunda, in fairness to him. King of talk. Diba? Ano ang image niya sa mga Pilipino? Matalino, entertaining, very honest, very sincere. father figure, mentor siya ng maraming artista, napaka-positive ng reputation niya. Kaya, ang effect niyan, marami siyang mga endorsements. Madalas siyang kinukuha to promote certain products. Another example would be Alden Richards. Sa tingin ko you research on Alden Richards, wala naman siyang mga matitinding scandals or controversies na kinasangkutan So, ganun din, marami rin siyang product endorsements because most organizations or most companies who promote certain products, they want endorsers na hindi sangkot sa mga kung ano-ano mga negative issues. Ayaw nila ng negative publicity. Got that? Yun yung ibig sabihin ng trustworthiness. The more trustworthy you are, the more positive your reputation is, most likely you will be an effective persuader. Negative example would be Tiger Woods. For sure, yung mga naglalaro ng golf dito, kilala nyo yan. For so long, si Tiger Woods ang linis-linis ng image. Family man, ang galing-galing sa golf. That's why Nike and Tiger Woods had a long relationship. For so long, ang pinopromote ni Tiger Woods is Nike. Ine-endorse niya yan. Until nasangkot si Tiger Woods sa isang napakalaking controversy where he admitted that he was a sex addict and he was cheating on his wife for so long with many women. Ano nangyari? Nasira yung reputation ni Tiger Woods. Nawala yung trustworthiness niya. And because of that, that forced Nike to let go of Tiger Woods as their endorser. Kaya nawala na si Tiger Woods sa Nike. Wala nang sombrero pang golf na merong logo ni Tiger Woods. Wala nang mga sapatos ni Tiger Woods na ang brand is Nike. Why did Nike do that? Kasi na-involved na sa negative publicity si Tiger Woods, nawala na yung trustworthiness ni Tiger Woods, he will no longer be an effective persuader to people to buy Nike products. Maliwanag. Kaya in connection to this, ang application dito is we really need to undergo reputation management. Huwag natin minamaliit yung linis ng reputasyon natin. Huwag natin sabihin na it doesn't matter kung maganda o pangit ang reputasyon mo. Mahalaga. It's very important that your reputation is good. Diba, sabi nga ni Solomon, no? A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. Maraming mga negative, marami kang hindi magagawa in the social world kapag yung reputation mo pangit. Especially, your ability to persuade other people halos mawawala kapag pangit ang reputasyon mo. Kasi wala kang trustworthiness. And number 3, of course, attractiveness. According to studies, this is a very important ingredient under communicator for him or her na maging effective persuader. Harapin na natin to. Bakit effective persuader ka? Kasi marami mga tao nagwagwapuhan sa'yo. Maraming mga tao nagagandahan sa'yo. Kaya kung mapapansin ninyo, marami ang mga products sa mga ads, wala namang kinalaman yung expertise nung tao doon sa product. Bakit siya ang nag-e-endorse nun? Kasi maganda siya. 'Di ba? Anong kinalaman ng magandang babae sa beer? Anong kinalaman ni Piolo Pascual sa shampoo? Artista siya. Anong sagot? Yung physical attractiveness nila. Si Sam Pinto, kaya niya ine-endorse yung beer kasi maganda siya. Si Piolo Pascual, kaya siya pinili ng clear kasi gwapo siya. Ano ngayon? What's the social psychology behind this? Why is it effective for attractive people to persuade people to buy certain things? Kaya kinukuha sila ng mga products kasi ang social psychology diyan, according to the literature, meron tayong tinatawag na beauty stereotype. So if you want to read more on beauty stereotype, this is a good article to read. You can research on this online. Basahin nyo yung article. But basically, ang nangyayari sa beauty stereotype is, ang mga tao, meron tayong logic na ang mga products na ine-endorse ng mga gwapo at magaganda, magaganda. Got that? It's like we transfer their physical attractiveness to our expectation that the product is good. Dahil ang clear shampoo ay ginagamit ng isang gwapong lalaki, siguro maganda talaga yung shampoo na yan. Dahil itong beer, iniinom ng isang magandang babae, baka masarap talaga yung beer na yan. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng beauty stereotype. We subconsciously associate physically attractive people to the performance of the products that they endorse. Nagigets nyo? So yun yung social psychology behind ads using attractive people to promote certain products, to persuade people to buy those products. But other than beauty stereotype, meron pang isang meron pang isang social psychology concepts that we can attach to this. Ito yung tinatawag nating halo effect. Ang halo effect naman is mostly non-physical. Yon. Non-physical naman, no? Ang beauty stereotype kasi physical beauty na associate mo sa product. Ang halo effect, it's more on the positive traits. Okay? Dahil maganda ang ugali ng taong to, maganda ang image ng taong to, ano nangyayari? Yung magandang image na yon natatransfer doon sa product na ini-endorse niya. Si Juan, mabait na tao. At si Juan, ini-endorse niya na bumili ka ng brand X mineral water. Dahil ang brand X mineral water, iniinom ng isang mabait na tao, siguro, masarap talaga yung brand X. Kasi nga, iniinom siya ng isang mabuting tao. Got that? Yun yung halo effect. You can also use this to explain attractiveness. Yun nga lang, yung halo effect, let me repeat, it's non-physical in nature. Beauty stereotype is physical in nature. But of course, no, in the world of advertising, mas ginagamit pa rin yung beauty stereotype than halo effect. So the more attractive a person is, mas mataas yung persuasive powers niya. At wag na rin tayo magplastikan dito, no, in our everyday life. Ganyan din naman tayo, 'di ba? If there's a person who is trying to persuade us to do something. Halimbawa, may nagper-persuade sa'yo na magbigay ng donation para sa isang NGO. Tapos yung nagper-persuade sa'yo, sobrang gwapo, sobrang maganda, type na type mo physically, wag na tayo magplastikan. Most likely, in that situation, you're gonna give. Right? Sino dito magsasabi na hindi? Kahit gwapo, kahit maganda yan, hindi ako ma-persuade na magbigay. Ang tawag sa inyo, in denial. 'Di ba? Talagang mataas yung chance that you will be persuaded by someone kapag yung nagper-persuade sa'yo, physically maganda, physically gwapo. Kaya karamihan ng mga salesperson in the field of sales, malaki ang value na binibigay sa mga agents na mataas ang physical attractiveness. Because again, studies after studies have shown that they are more effective persuaders than people with low levels of attractiveness. Alright? So that's all about the communicator. Yun yung mga ingredients na kailangan para maging effective persuader sila. Let's review ano yon: credibility, trustworthiness, and attractiveness. Now, let's move on to the second component of persuasion. Pag-usapan naman natin yung message, also known as the arguments. Ito na ngayon yung mga sinasabi mo sa mga tao. Ano ba dapat laman ng sinasabi mo para yung mga tao ma-persuade, magbago yung isip, kagatin nila yung gusto mong gawin nila. Alright? So, according to the textbook by Myers, the message pertains to whether what you're saying makes sense to the audience or not. Ito yung mga dahilan na binibigay mo sa mga tao kung bakit sila dapat maniwala sa sinasabi mo. Okay? So again, ang keyword dito is dahilan, or in English, reasons. What are the good reasons that you give to people why they would be persuaded by the things that you are saying to them? Okay? So according to social psychology research in connection to message, no, merong tatlong ruta. There are 3 routes that you can use in connection to your message to persuade people to believe you. Ano tong tatlong routes na to, or tatlong techniques on how to present your message? Number 1, may tinatawag tayong central route. Ibig sabihin ng central route, yung mga dahilan mo na binibigay sa mga tao that you are persuading is very factual. Pinapakita mo sa kanila na yung mga sinasabi mo makes sense. Maniwala kayo sa sinasabi ko because what I say is factual, because what I say makes sense. I have the numbers, I have the statistics, I have the evidences, the testimonies na yung sinasabi ko totoo, therefore maniwala kayo sa sinasabi ko. Yan. Very logical yung reason sa binibigay mo in this route to persuade people. For example, eto, kinukumbinsi mo yung isang tao na bumili ng insurance kasi insurance agent ka. Alam nyo naman yan, yung mga nagbebenta ng insurance dyan. Paano mo mako-convince na yung tao bumili ng insurance, mag-invest sa future niya? Bigyan mo siya ng mga logical reasons why this person should buy insurance. Reason number 1, ito. Reason number 2, ayan. Reason number 3, yan. Tapos hindi lang enough na yan lang yung slide mo. Dapat may mga numbers ka dyan. Dapat may statistics ka dyan. Dapat may testimonies ka dyan. Mag-present ka ng mga pie charts. Mag-present ka ng mga line graphs to support the truth claims that you're saying, para maniwala sila na yung sinasabi mo hindi loko-loko lang, hindi gawa-gawa mo lang, rather it's based on the truth. Yan yung ibig sabihin ng central root. Another example would be, kinukumbinsi mo yung tao na bumili ng iPhone. Sabihin nating ahente ka ng iPhone, salesperson ka ng iPhone, tinanong ka, okay ba bumili ng iPhone kasi galing ako sa Samsung plano ko lumipat sa iPhone. Anong gagawin mo? If you're going to take the central route, bigyan mo siya ng mga facts, bigyan mo siya ng mga reasons, logical reasons why iPhone is better than Samsung. Point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, yan. State the facts. Stick within logic. Yan yung ibig sabihin ng central route. Maliwanag. The second route, other than the central route, is what we call the peripheral route. Ito naman ang ginagamit mo, emotions. Maniwala kayo sa sinasabi ko kasi meron kayong naramdaman na emotion based sa mga sinabi ko. Believe it or not, people are persuaded through the emotions that they feel. Unfortunately, minsan, kahit walang facts studies have shown this. Kahit walang facts, walang evidences, walang figures, ang mga tao naniniwala sa mga statements. Bakit? Kasi nadaan sila sa peripheral route. Nadaan mo sa emotions. Certain emotions like what? Excitement. Na-inspire sila. Natawa sila sa'yo. Meron silang experience of awe. Naawa sila sa'yo. Natakot sila sa mga sinasabi mo, kaya sila na-persuade na gawin yung sinasabi mo. Got that? For example, bakit sila kumakain sa restaurant mo? Bakit binili nila yung produkto mo? Kasi natuwa sila sa pangalan ng store mo. Bumibili sila sa inyo ng itlog kasi natuwa sila sa pangalan ng egg shop mo, Egg Sheeran. Kumain sila sa manukan mo kasi natuwa sila sa pangalan ng restaurant mo. Anong pangalan? Mabini ba to? Mabini Rogers Roasters. Natuwa sila na kumain sa lechonan mo kasi ang pangalan ng lechonan mo, Cebu Pacific. Gets nyo? So, kumain sila dyan, na-persuade mo sila na kumain dyan, gamitin yung mga products na yan. Bakit? Hindi dahil sa may facts and figures ka. Nandyan sila kasi natuwa sila sa'yo based on their emotions. Ito, positive emotions to But you can also use negative emotions to persuade people to stop doing something. Exactly the logic sa mga kaha ng sigarilyo. Bakit sa mga kaha ng sigarilyo may mga ganyang images? It is designed to induce negative emotions. Saan nagagamit yung negative emotions na yon? We use those emotions to persuade people to stop smoking. So you can also use negative emotions to persuade people to stop certain behavior such as smoking. Maliwanag. Yun yung pinagkaiba ng peripheral route kumpara sa central route. Central, very logical, factual, statistics, evidences. Peripheral route, pa-cute, patawa. Para makakonvince ka ng mga tao. Route number 3, ito yung go-to talaga. Kasi ang route number 3 is combination, mixed. Kaya nila binili yung produkto, kaya sila na-persuade sa sinasabi mo kasi pareho kang logical at the same time emotional. Halimbawa, itong ad na to ng iPhone. Bakit ito mix? Kasi look at this picture. Gumamit ng creativity yung iPhone dito. 'Di ba? Ito raw yung klase ng privacy ng iPhone, talagang yung mga bagay sa phone mo na hindi pwedeng makita ng public, it's very protected. compared to other phones. Ewan ko lang kung sino pinaparinggan dito ng iPhone, no? Yung ibang phone, expose na expose. Yung mga bagay na hindi dapat nila makita, mababa ang privacy. And at the same time, factual naman talaga yan. Other than this creativity na ginamit, factual naman talaga na in terms of security, mas safe. Mas maraming mga security features ang iPhone compared to their competitors. So in this simple ad, they were able to combine two roots. Meron silang emotional, natuwa yung mga tao sa ad. Meron din silang factual. Totoo naman talaga na mas matindi ang security ng iPhone compared to their competitors. It's both. It's a combination of both. Alright? Another example of mix would be, ito, biblical yung example ko dito, when Jesus is trying to teach people. What makes Jesus so persuasive? Bakit ang dami-dami niyang followers during his time? Kasi mixed root yung sinasabi niya or yung ginagamit niya, in persuading people of the truth. Pinagahalo niya yung peripheral root and central root. People were amazed, as you can see here on the slide. No, people were amazed by how he taught. Kasi super may authority siya. Alam na alam niya yung sinasabi niya. Ramdam na ramdam ng mga tao na kabisado niya yung tinuturo niya. 'Di ba? Being inspired, being impressed by someone is the peripheral root. At the same time, yung mga sinasabi niya, very factual. Kabisado niya yung Old Testament. Kabisado niya yung mga laws. Kabisado niya yung mga customs of the Old Testament. So, kinumbine niya. Meron siyang conceptual mastery of the Old Testament. And the way he teaches, the way he delivers the message, very emotional. People are amazed. That's why, ang daming followers ni Jesus during his time. They were very persuaded by the way Jesus taught the word. Okay? Now, let's move on to number 3, the channel. Ano naman ibig sabihin ng channel? The channel is how the persuader delivers the message. Sa Tagalog, kung paano mo sinasabi yung message mo. Sabi nga dito, no, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Itong it's how you say it, yan yung channel. Paano mo sinasabi yung mensahe sa mga audience mo para ma-persuade sila? O, ano ba yung mga iba't ibang mga channels? Ano yung iba't ibang mga ways para ma-persuade mo yung mga tao to do something that you want them to do, no? Number 1, according to research, mas effective yung channel mo kapag gumagamit ka ng personal channel. It means, ikaw mismo yung nagde-deliver ng message mo. Ikaw mismo yung nagsasabi sa mga tao na palitan nila yung behaviors nila. Hindi mo dinadaan sa recording, hindi mo dinadaan sa sulat, hindi mo dinadaan sa ads. As in, yung katawang lupa mo. Ikaw mismo, yung presence mo, nandoon sa harap ng taong kino-convince mo. Like for example, you can apply this in driving. For those of you who are driving, pwede nyo itong gamitin. Paano kapag bibigyan sa daan? Let's say, mag-change lane ka or sisingit ka sa isang pila ng mga kotse, ayaw kang pagbigyan. According to research, one effective way in these situations is mag-window down ka. Mag-window down ka and then ilabas mo yung kamay mo and then senyas ka doon sa taong hinihingan mo ng space para pasingitin ka. Most likely pagbibigyan ka niyan. Bakit? Kasi naging personal na yung appeal. Kapag naka-window up ka kasi, impersonal eh. Ang tingin sa'yo ng mga taong nagdadrive, isa ka lang kotse na gustong sumingit at nakakainis. Pero kapag nakita na nila yung tao behind the wheels, nakita nila na human being ka, na nagmamakaawang pasingitin ka, most likely, papasingitin ka niyan. Alright? So for those of you who are driving, effective strategy yan. Talagang kailangan mo mag-change lane, kailangan mo sumingit, walang nagbibigay, gamitan mo ng personal appeal. Ma-persuade sila na pagbigyan ka. Other than personal, ipagsama ko na yung numbers 2 and 3, repetitive and ease of remembering. Paano yung mga channel na yan? Ginagamit yan sa advertising. Ibig sabihin ng repetitive, yung message na sinasabi mo, ulit-ulitin mo. Ease of remembering, yung message na sinasabi mo, madaling intindihin. Paano ina-apply sa advertising yan? Number 1, kaya makukulit ang mga commercials. Paulit-ulit. That's one of the natures of ads. Paulit-ulit mong nakikita, paulit-ulit mong nakikinig. Kaya yung mga products na maraming pera pangbili ng airtime sa mga televisions, sa mga radio shows, sila yung mga product na mas binibili ng mga tao because subconsciously, people are more familiar with their products. Bakit? Kasi yung mga products na yun, yung paulit-ulit yung commercials. Kaya mahal ang airtime eh. That's one of the reasons. Mataas ang value ng airtime in connection to the chance or in connection to increasing the chance that your products will be bought. Basta mag-play ka na mag-play ng ads mo on air, most likely tataas ang sales mo. Kasi nasatisfy mo yung repetition. Ibig sabihin naman ng ease of remembering, naging creative ka in the way you promote your product. Like for example, pag gumagamit ka ng mga new words, no? Gumamit ka ng kislap puti. Pinag-combine mo yung word na kislap at puti. No? Or tanggaling. Ginagamit niya ng dishwashing na to, yung smart. Tanggal, galing. Magaling magtanggal ng sebo. Madaling mabilis maalala. Kislap puti. Tanggaling. Tapos yung mga very popular slogans, no? Hindi lang pampamilya, pang sports pa. Isang alcohol yan. Dahil naging sikat na yung tagline na yan, most likely people are gonna buy this alcohol. Kasi madaling intindihin o madaling maalala, at the same time, paulit-ulit nilang naririnig. The same thing with food. Kaya paulit-ulit din yung mga commercials niyan sa TV, sa radio, sa internet. Tapos nag-iimbento rin sila ng mga slogan sa madaling maalala. Bida ang saya, Jollibee. Finger licking good, KFC. Give me some others. Diba? Yun. In politics, ina-apply din yan. Repetition, saan ginagamit yan? Sa campaigns. On air. Kaya madalas sa mga kandidato na maraming pera, most likely na nanalo. Why? Kasi sila yung maraming pera na pang play ng mga ads nila sa TV. So, mas nakikita sila ng mga tao, comes election day, mas naalala sila ng mga tao, mas binoboto sila. Ang slogan ni ERAP noon, nung talagang kalakasan pa niya, ERAP para sa mahirap. Nagra-rhyme yung word niya, ERAP, mahirap. Yun yung ease of remembering niya. Yung repetition niya, yung laging piniplay, yung commercial niya o yung political ads niya sa TV. Ginamit din yan ni Bong Revilla. Di ba? Nasaan yung repetition? Paulit-ulit siyang nagpe-play. Paulit-ulit pinapakita yung ads niya sa television. Anong ginagawa niya? Nagbubudot siya doon, nagbubudots dance. So yung budots dance na associate ng mga tao kay Bong Revilla is of remembering yon. Paulit-ulit piniplay yung budots dance ni Bong Revilla nung nangangampanya siya, yun yung repetition. And it was effective. Nanalo si Bong Revilla when he did that. Diba? So yun yung ibig sabihin ng channel. Pero meron akong isisingit sa channel, no? So going back kay malito, nasaan yun? Ito yung channel. How the message is delivered, ano yung mga ways para kung paano mo ma-deliver yung message mo. It has to be personal, it has to be repetitive, at madaling maalala. Pero gusto kong ipasok dito yung tinatawag kong divine channel. And I think, when you read the Gospels, Jesus used this a lot. Anong ibig sabihin ng divine channel? How did Jesus persuaded people that He is divine? By doing miracles. Yun yung evidence niya, yun yung channel niya. To prove His divinity, that He is not a sinner like human beings, anong patunay niya? How did He persuade people? By doing miracles in public. That's one of the reasons, no? Baka nagtatanong kayo, bakit si Kristo, pag gumagawa siya ng mga miracles, madalas, in the Gospels, public, papansin ba siya? Hindi siya papansin. The reason why He's doing this is to persuade people of His divine nature. Di ba sinabi niya yan in one of the Gospels? But if I do them, the miracles, even though you do not believe me, believe the works. Let me repeat, believe the works, yung miracles niya, that you may know and understand that the Father is in me and I in the Father. He was trying to persuade people of His divinity through His miracles. Kaya I think this is a category of its own, no? Hindi siya hindi siya ease of remembering, hindi rin siya hindi rin siya personal, hindi rin siya repetitive. It's divine in nature. Kaya I think that would be number 4, no? Divine channel. That's another way of persuading people in connection to your in connection to the channel. Okay? Now, for the last component of persuasion, punta tayo sa audience. Believe it or not, nagmamatter rin pala kung sino yung pinerpersuade mo. Whether or not magiging effective persuader ka. Kaya kinakailangan alam mo yung profile ng audience mo. Such as what? Ano ba yung mga factors na dapat nating tinitignan from our audience that we can use to become effective persuaders? Halimbawa, yung intellectual level ng audience. Siyempre, yung pagpersuade mo, how are you going to say your message? What channel you're gonna use depends on the intellectual level of your audience. Halimbawa, o kayong mga students, pag magtitesis na kayo, meron kayong pinapatunayan pag nagtitesis kayo, di ba? You want to persuade your teachers that you deserve to pass the thesis, that you deserve to graduate from the university. Am I right? But how do you persuade your teachers during thesis defense that you deserve a degree? Anong gagamitin mo? Peripheral or central? Being a teacher, ako, ang suggestion ko, gumamit kayo ng central. When you present your thesis, we want data. We want evidences. We want testimonies. We want to see the numbers. Huwag kayong magpa-cute during thesis defense. Huwag na kayong mag-opening song. Huwag na kayong mag-dance number. Nakita na kayo nag-thesis defense, nagda-dance number. That won't work. Kasi yung mga panel members during a thesis defense, mataas ang intellectual level. And studies show that people with high levels of intellect are more likely to be persuaded through central routes. Mahirap madala ang taong matalino sa emotions. Kaya daanin mo sa logic, daanin mo sa data. On the other hand, kung halimbawa, nagpapa-free taste ka lang naman ng biscuit sa grocery, ang audience mo doon, yung madlang people, huwag ka na mag-present ng data. Huwag ka na mag-present ng conceptual framework doon. Diba? Huwag ka nang mag-demo-demo doon ng multiple regression. Anong gagawin mo? Kapag free taste ng madlang people, doon ka magpa-cute. Doon ka mag-dance number, doon ka kumanta-kanta, para kagatin nila yung free taste mo. You see, nag-a-adjust yung way of persuasion mo depending on the intellectual level of your audience. Another factor under audience would be the age. Titignan mo rin yung edad ng audience mo. Siyempre, kung ang pinupersuade mo, Gen Z, iba dapat yon kapag ang pinupersuade mo, mga boomer na mga matatanda na. Pag ang pinupersuade mo, for example, Gen Z, ano ang dapat way of persuasion dyan? Gamitin mo yung language ng mga Gen Z. Ano ba yung language ng mga Gen Z? Marami daw sa kanila konyo. So, if you want to persuade them to help you in studying, what you do? You speak the language of Gen Zers. My friends are so maingay and naughty, but always tulong me with my homework. Most likely, tutulungan ka niyan. Bakit? Because you speak his or her language. Pero hindi mo gagamitin yung ganyang language kapag kausap mo, boomer. Diba? 55 years old na, tapos gaganyanin mo. Hindi ka maintindihan. Baka uminit pa ulo sa'yo. Are you getting my point? Ia-adjust mo yung way of persuasion to certain audience factors. Siyempre, even the personal history or the historical background of your audience must also be considered. Halimbawa, politiko ka, nangangampanya ka. Tapos, yung kampanya mo, yung kausap mo, mga people in the higher SES, mga businessmen, mga mayayaman. Ano dapat ang approach mo dyan? Pag mangangampanya ka, dapat formal ka. Maayos yung English mo. 'Di ba? Maayos yung pananamit mo. Pero kung yung audience mo naman is lower SES, mga madlang people, wag ka naman magganyan. 'Di ba? Maging ano ka naman, maging casual ka naman. Pwede kang sumayaw-sayaw ng ganyan. Nagigets niyo, no? So iaayon ninyo, ia-align ninyo yung persuasion techniques ninyo depende sa profile ng audience. Kaya yan yung application dito, no, for this part. If you want to be an effective persuader, one of the things that you need to consider is who will be your audience. Before you go to the place where you're going to persuade, dapat kilala mo na yung audience mo. And the general rule is, tinuturo din to sa mga sales, sa sales training. Ano ang general rule para maging effective persuader ka in connection to your audience? The audience must feel that you are one of them or you understand them. Kaya mahalaga that when you present yourself to the audience, you speak their language. You need to project to them that you understand them as human beings. You understand their backgrounds. Kaya sabi ng isang quotable quote, no, in connection to this, ginagamit din to sa sales, never treat your audience as customers, always as partners. Anong ibig sabihin ng as partners? Ipapakita mo sa kanila na magka-level kayo. Ipapakita mo sa kanila that you understand their world. Hindi ako mas mataas sa'yo, hindi ako mas mababa sa'yo, pareho tayo, partners tayo, co-equal tayo. Most likely, pakikinggan ka ng audience mo. Maliwanag. Alright? So, those are the different ingredients. Nadaanan na natin lahat, no? Those are the different ingredients that you need for you to be an effective persuader. And let me repeat, lahat ng sinabi ko in this lecture na mga ingredients under each of these components are proven via social psychological research. But before we close this lecture, ayoko namang iwan ko lang tong lecture na to na alam nyo lang yung science of persuasion. Right? Let's talk about life lessons that we can learn from this simple lecture on the social psychology of persuasion. Okay? Ano ba yung mga existential lessons that we can apply in our everyday life? Number one, I hope you realize persuasion is an important social skill. Sinabi ko ito kanina at the start of the lecture, if there's one social skill na sa tingin ko dapat yung i-prioritize, it must be your ability to persuade. Why? Why is it your ability to persuade is so important? Because persuasion can shape a person's belief. And a person's belief will determine where the life of that person is going. Tandaan nyo yan. Kung saan mapupunta ang buhay ng tao, magiging masama o magiging mabuti, depende yan sa mga bagay na pinapaniwalaan niya. So, paano natin masisigurado na yung buhay ng tao na kausap natin mapapaganda? By managing their belief via persuasion. Kaya, yung ability mo to persuade, I can say, susi yan para maging mas maganda ang buhay ng isang tao. Don't you agree? If you are an effective persuader, that means you are able to effectively manage people's beliefs that will affect, that can influence where their life will be going. Lalo-lalo na psychology majors like you. We use our persuasion skills a lot in more or less guiding people's life outcomes. Halimbawa, ginagamit niyan sa cognitive therapy. Pag-aaralan nyo to sa clinical psychology, right? What do we do in cognitive therapy? Ito, ginagawa natin. We manage their beliefs to improve their mental health. The reason why they have poor mental health is because they have unhealthy beliefs. So, anong ginagawa sa cognitive therapy? We persuade the clients to let go of their unhealthy beliefs and persuade them to adopt healthier beliefs. Because by adopting healthier beliefs, kapag nakumbinsi mo sila na i-adapt nila yung mga healthier beliefs, mas magaganda ang mental health. Diba? Medyo napapa-theories of personality na ako dito. If you remember Albert Ellis, siya nagsabi niyan. One of the reasons kung bakit ang tao palpak ang mental health, nadidepress, tumataas ang anxiety, kasi marami siyang pinangahawakan na irrational beliefs. And that's where cognitive therapy enters the picture. We persuade the client to let go of these unhealthy beliefs and replace it with rational, healthier beliefs. Nagigets ninyo how important your persuasion skills are. You can help someone to have a good life or a worse life. Pero sana gamitin nyo to guide people to have better life. In fact, i-apply mo to sa spirituality Yung afterlife mo, nakadepende yan sa pinaniniwalaan mo. Don't you agree? Sinabi yan, no? One very popular spiritual idea that whosoever believes in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. Whether or not magiging maganda o pangit, whether or not magiging maganda, yung afterlife mo, depende yan kung anong pinaniniwalaan mo. Paano mo nga masisigurado na tama yung paniniwala ng isang tao? Anong sagot? Going back to my point, kaya you have to learn how to persuade. Because persuasion is the key to help people have the right beliefs, leading to better life. Number 2, in connection to number 1, persuade people to the true beliefs. Sana naman, after listening to this lecture, now that you know how persuasion works, gamitin nyo tong skill na to guide people towards true beliefs. Mga tamang paniniwala about God, about evil, about good health, about relationships, about mental health, and most importantly, about spiritual truths. That's the service that we can do as psych majors to people that we encounter. We guide them to the true beliefs. The sad reality is in our culture today, especially social media. Hindi ko naman totally sinasabing masama ang social media, but social media is being used to mislead people towards wrong beliefs. Marami mga kasinungalingan, marami mga false spiritual teachings that can be found in social media that messes up people's lives. Let me give you one example. Halimbawa, yung katuruan ng materialism, which is a very popular teachings in today's culture, where people, especially young people, are taught that there is no God. Ito yung mga major assumptions ng materialism, that there is no afterlife, everything is material reality, that we are material beings, wala tayong mga kaluluwa, kalibel natin ng mga hayop, after all, nag-evolve daw tayo from them, and money is the most important thing in life. Yan ang mga major foundations ng materialism. So, young people today are easily persuaded by this. Ito yung madalas nilang ina-adapt. They are easily persuaded by materialism because materialism is being taught by people who are hard to resist. The cultural icons, the cultural idols that you see in social media. Sila yung mga prophets of materialism, and in fairness, they are so good persuading people that materialism is true. Ewan ko lang kung nag-social psychology sila, kung narinig nila tong lecture na to, but they're using many strategies that are so effective that young people today buy materialism. But to tell you, according to studies, we are not meant, or we should not adopt the teachings of materialism. You know why? Because our very nature is not in line with the teachings of materialism. We are spiritual beings by nature. As psych majors, dapat dyan kayo nanggagaling. That's the way you should see people, that we are spiritual beings. We are spirits within a body. We are not just brains. We are not just hormones. Ano ngayon? If we are spiritual beings, ang laki ng implication yan. Spiritual beings are not satisfied by material things. Let me repeat. Spiritual beings are not satisfied by material things. That's the truth. Yan yung sinasabi, when we say, you should not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, where thieves break in and steal. Why? Why should we not store up for ourselves material things? Because we are not designed to be. We are spiritual beings. We should not be satisfied by material things. Spiritual beings are satisfied by spiritual needs. Kaya lang, ang lakas nga ng materialism. Ito, wala masyadong nagko-communicate. Wala masyadong nagper-persuade sa mga tao na ito yung paniwalaan. Ano ang dominant? Ito, yung materialism. Ito ngayon yung naa-adapt ng maraming mga kabataan ngayon. So ano nangyayari? I-connect mo yan sa mental health issues. That's one of the reasons why many people today, ang taas-taas ng mga mental health issues na mga hindi magaganda. Anxiety, depression, insecurity, so on and so forth. Now, you might say, nasaan na naman ang scientific basis mo dyan? Meron tayong basis dyan, such as this one. Studies after studies have shown that materialistic people are very prone to depression. To be more specific, using statistical language, high levels of materialism predicts higher levels of depression and dissatisfaction in life. Nagigets nyo? So these lines of research is in line with the truth that spiritual beings like us are not designed to be satisfied by material things. We need more than money. We need more than a house. We need things more than all the worldly things. Kasi nga, yung nature natin, we are spirits. We are not meant to be satisfied by material things. Alright? And last one, number 3, and I'm going to close here. Learning about persuasion sana ang application natin dito, let's screen out who persuades you or what persuades you. I want to emphasize on the words screen out. Ang problema sa maraming tao ngayon, because we are so open to different ideas, wala na tayong screening na ginagamit. In our social world today, ang dami-dami mga truth claims persuading us that it's the truth. That we end up that everything is true. Alam niyo yon? Ano yung word na yon? Diversity. 'Di ba? Ang dami-daming truth claims, ang dami-daming mga statements about reality at marami doon kontra-kontra. But we are being shaped by this culture to believe that all truth claims are valid. Wag na nating i-screen out kung ano yung totoo kasi lahat yan totoo. I-respect natin lahat ng truth claims. So ano nangyayari? Lahat ina-absorb natin. At kapag lahat ng truth claims inabsorb mo na, lalo na yung mga kontra-kontra, pinag-usapan natin to before, it will create what? Dissonance within you, which will impair your mental health. Kaya sa tingin ko, that's also one of the reasons, no, going back to this slide, kung bakit tumataas ang mga mental health issues eh. Bakit? Ang daming dissonance ng mga tao. Kontra-kontra yung mga ideas na alam nila. Creates dissonance, impairs mental health. Kaya ang application dito, hindi dapat ganyan. 'Di ba? Hindi lahat ng persuasion ng iba't ibang mga tao tinatanggap natin. Dapat meron tayong screening process. We first ask whether a truth claim is true or false. Because not all truth claims are true. That's the problem I have with relativism, which is another popular teaching in today's society. Anong ibig sabihin ng relativism? The truth depends on you. The truth depends on what makes you happy. That all things that you hear are true, let's just respect all beliefs. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng relativism. Huwag na nating questionin yung truthfulness, yung validity ng mga ideas. Let's just agree to disagree. If this is true for me and that's not true for you, let's just agree to disagree. At the end of the day, parehong truth yung pinaniniwalaan natin. Hindi pwede. Because if we are going to live in this objective world, we have to have an objective standard kung ano ang totoo at kung ano ang hindi. Yun yung sinasabi ni Solomon in one of his proverbs, that we need to guard our hearts. Guard our minds. I-screen out natin yung mga ideas, yung mga truth claims na pinapapasok natin in our psychological system. Because again, let me repeat this, and I know many of you wouldn't agree. But let me repeat this, not all things in life are true. Diba? Merong source of lies. Merong mga claim about reality na hindi totoo. Beware of the father of all lies and his children. In the spiritual realm, merong mga entities, merong mga beings that promotes statements that are not true, but it is being portrayed as true. Lalong-lalo na in the popular culture. Anong tawag dyan in a more popular term? Lies are also known as, in our language today, mga fake news. Kung hindi kayo naniniwala sa Bible, okay lang, pero sana naman naniniwala kayo sa fake news. There is such a thing as fake news. We have seen that over and over again in our society. Sinasabing totoo, ang ending, hindi pala totoo. Ang masama doon, yung fake news na yan, marami nang naniwala. And can you imagine, if you are going to continue relativism, wag nating screen out yung mga truth claims, tanggapin natin lahat. Ano mangyayari? Lahat ng fake news, inabsorb mo. And what's the danger when you absorb lies? When you absorb fake news, it ends up giving birth to wrong beliefs, gives birth to wrong emotions, gives birth to wrong actions. And this is the road towards mental health issues. Kaya ka may mental health issue kasi marami kang mga paniniwalang hindi totoo, marami kang mga emotions na hindi mo dapat nararamdaman, at marami kang mga behaviors na hindi mo dapat ginagawa. Saan ba nanggaling yan? Kasi nga lahat tinanggap mo. Hindi mo in-screen kung ano ang totoo sa hindi. Diba? Again, I am against the idea of relativism. Sana kayo din. Pero again, wala tayong pilitan, no? If you are going to sustain the cultural teaching that everything is true, then by all means, be my guest. Pero ngayon pa lang, sinasabi ko na life doesn't work that way. There is a clear distinction between what's true from what's not. Black and white cannot be both black and white. There is such a thing as the truth. Hindi sinabing I am a truth. I'm sure marami na namang nakataas ang kilay dyan, but this is the truth, class. I hope you apply this, no? Para rin sa ating mga mental health. Kaya nga, going back to this slide, yan. How do we apply this? Lahat ng truth claims na nakikinig natin, huwag natin i-automatically absorb. Let's get rid of automatic persuasion. Dapat i-screen out muna natin, no? Pag may isang truth claim tayong narinig, sino nagsabi ng truth claim? Research on that. Totoo ba yung truth claim na yon? Ano yung background ng taong yon? Is he really telling the truth? We should be careful about the truth claims that we let in to our psychological system. Because if not, kung mabilis lang tayo ma-persuade ng kung ano-anong mga ideas, ano mangyayari, wala. Talagang masisira yung psychological life natin. Alright? So that ends my lecture on the social psychology of persuasion. Medyo mahaba tayo ngayon, no? Nakalagpas isang oras tayo, but I think this is a very helpful topic to improve our psychological lives. Okay? So if you have any questions or comments, ilagay nyo lang dyan sa baba. I hope you learned something from me today. Sir Howard here. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.